Hey guys, Foxdrop here with another game commentary. This game I'm playing as Braum Jungle. This is not a live commentary, this is a replay that I'm watching over, and I'm going to be giving you some commentary and a little bit of analysis as well. Now this is just a normal game, this is a game I played with some of my friends, but if you're clicking on this video and you're expecting to see, how Braum Jungle works, how to play him, some of his strengths and weaknesses, that kind of thing, then this is going to be the video for you. So for my runes and masteries, my setup when I play Braum, before I get into that, I want to apologise. I'm really out of breath, and my dog is like drinking the one. Why dog? You wait until I press the record and then you start gulping away your drink. Seriously, please. Anyway, so my setup for this game, playing as Braum Jungle, my runes are attack speed reds, attack speed quints, armor yellows, and magic resist blues. The reason I take this is because Braum really does struggle in clearing the jungle. His abilities are awful at clearing the jungle, like really bad. So he relies purely on his basic attacks and his passive. And his passive actually isn't so bad for clearing because basically you hit a target and you put stacks on them. Once you hit 4 stacks, then you trigger your passive and it will stun them and deal bonus damage. However, once your passive is on cooldown, very similar to how Jarvan's passive works, i.e. you can't use it on the same target for more than, like 10 seconds or something, then your attacks do bonus damage. So, or bonus damage to that target. As you'll see here, while this circle is going around the red buff, I'm doing bonus damage. So the more attack speed I have, the more bonus damage I do, so that's quite a nice synergy there. So I'm starting at, before I should say that, sorry, I should say my masteries are just, I believe I think it's like 821-1 or something like that. I'll put the link to it in the description so you can look at it for yourself, but it's quite defensively orientated. So for the jungle route that I'm taking this game is I'm starting at my red buff. The reason why I'm starting at red is because I'm against a Lee Sin jungle, and Lee Sin is a very threatening jungle, and Braum can't really deal with him. Can't really look after himself in the jungle. He's quite vulnerable and quite weak to invades and counter jungling. So I don't want to start on my blue buff because I know that Lee Sin will assume I'm starting at blue buff. Like he will assume I'm starting here because that's where most people start. They start at the buff which is closest to their bot, so they can get the most help possible. And why have I lost myself? Here I am. And so I wanted to start whenever I'm afraid of getting invaded. Like they'll assume you're starting at this blue buff first, and then they'll meet you at your second buff and try and kill you. So whenever I'm afraid of that happening, I just start at my second buff and then work my way down. Not only does it foil any of their plans to invade me, but it also means that if I do get invaded at this blue buff, then I have my bot lane to collapse and help me, which is a lot better than having my top lane collapse and help me because I have 2 people there. So I've just cleared out, I've done a double buff clear, and I am now killing the white camp here. I'm not really looking to do too much. Nowhere really looks like it's a really great place for me to gank. Braum's ganks are really not that good. I've already done a video talking about with Braum Jungle in general, and one of the things that I say in that video is that his ganks are linear and hit and miss and just not that good. Basically his Q is blocked by minions, and if you miss it, then that's pretty much all of Braum's gank potential gone unless you can walk up to the target and punch them and get your allies to proc your passive. So it's a bit hit and miss. Basically, you have to wait for a good opportunity before you can get a nice gank off. And so that's what I'm doing this game. I'm looking for a good opportunity before I gank. I'm not trying to force things because I don't think I'll be successful. So I did a bit of jungle clearing there, and I'm recalling kind of early here to buy my Madreds. Now you may think, what? Why are you buying Madreds? Madreds build into Wriggles. Wriggles is Feral Flare, and Braum isn't a Feral Flare jungler. Feral Flare junglers are the people that are really good with their basic attacks or who want to scale into late game and be carries. Braum isn't going to be a carry. He's not a late game character either. So why Madreds? Well, the answer for this is the same reason why you'd get Madreds on Shen or Rammus, and that's because his clear speeds are so bad that he needs Madreds to keep up. He needs Madreds to clear fast and to not clear horribly slowly, basically. So I get this to offset his horrible, like I said at the beginning, he has nothing to help him clear apart from his Q, which is pretty shit. So he needs his, I get this Madreds early to really help. Now I want to pause this ever so slightly here. The reason why I went to my golems here is partly because Aurelia went back, and because Aurelia went back I thought, oh, I'll go hold the lane, and I'll get some free XP. However, she had TP, so that didn't end up working. But now I'm looking for a gank here. So I'm just walking over here, and I'm just going to look for a nice engage. This is going to work pretty perfectly because Aurelia's kind of low on health, so Vayne's going to be a nice stun. I tag Vayne with my Q, and then jump to the Aurelia. Jump to Aurelia, and you know, we get a passive product, and then she goes down. So those kind of ganks are quite easy for Braum. If you hit someone with your Q, it's very simple. And if you can then jump to your allies to start proccing your passive and do extra damage, then it's even simpler. Like right here, if you're able to engage with your team and not do anything fancy, like I just did there, I jumped onto Lee Sin and then just started beating the crap out of Orianna, then it's, you know, his ganking is not that bad. But it's when you have to start doing things outside of that, which is when it starts getting a bit tricky. And so if you can look for these good opportunities, then that's fine. Braum's ganks are not that bad if you can do that. But we blow Orianna's barrier there, and that was fairly successful. So that's a nice gank, and maybe we can go back and get this Orianna later on, or maybe now Lee Sin can kill her, because I think Lee Sin would have some kind of kill potential on Orianna as a laner. Lee Sin in general tends to be quite aggressive. Doing a tiny bit of counter jungling there, taking away the big Wraith, leaving the mini ones up so that the Wraiths don't respawn, and that it denies the enemy jungler a little bit. And also putting a ward in that Wraith bush there, so that we see Lee Sin if he's walking around in that jungle. So I'm buying my Moby Boots here so that I can run around and just gank everything. Now Braum's ganking is not amazing, but you know, there's no... It's kind of hard to say, like, his ganking is not that great, but when you're able to run up to people and engage it easier, like with Moby Boots, and just run around the map and put a lot of pressure down, then it's not, you know, it synergizes quite nicely. That kind of playstyle works quite nicely. I don't need a lot of items because Braum at heart is a support, so I can just buy Moby Boots, run around, gank people, and that should all be good. I want to mention as well something I didn't say previously, but your W and your E, whereas they're useless for clearing the jungle, they're actually not bad as defensive abilities. I don't want to use them both because I can run out of mana, and they actually the E especially has a high cooldown, but my W is quite good. You put it on yourself and you gain 22 armor and magic resist, so it's really nice actually for not taking as much damage in the jungle. So I'm looking at mid lane here because I know Orianna doesn't have a barrier. I don't think there's too much going down because it seems like Orianna sees me and runs away. So I'm like, well, okay, then I won't go mid. She's seen me. I'm not going to waste time. I'm not going to force anything. I'm just going to go top lane instead. So I see Vayne is a nice target top lane. Aurelia's getting absolutely manhandled in this top lane so far. So let's see what we can do. Just walk up to her. Maybe I wasted my Q a little bit there because it's in melee range, and I might want to use that for her if she runs away, but it doesn't matter. I used my ult then, which maybe again was a bit of a waste, but I didn't want Aurelia dying either. So these, like I said before as well, these kind of ganks are very simple on Braum. If you can run up to someone, if they're not in a good position, then you can destroy someone basically in a gank. And this is where I make a mistake and I misplayed it. So I'm actually I'm going to rewind this. So basically what I do is Aurelia goes to recall and I face check this river bush here, which Lee Sin happens to be in, but I'm pinging, like right here, you see this ping on the minimap onto mid lane? That's me saying, I'm coming mid. I'm not, watch me here. I'm not watching this. I take like 3 free hits without even reacting because I'm just not paying attention, which is my bad. I also have 2 health potions and a mana potion in my inventory, which can help me in this fight. So I instantly run towards the Aurelia as best I can. I use my shield quite late, and also, another mistake I make, I haven't used my W here, which is going to give me 23 bonus armor, which is quite a lot, considering I have 62 armor. It's going to improve my armor by like a third, which is a decent amount. I don't use it, and I just die. Like, so not only do I not use my W defensively, I don't use potions either. And because that fight lasts, like if I was paying more attention, as soon as as soon as I face checked that bush and I saw Lee Sin was there beating the crap out of me, if I was paying more attention, I would have instantly popped a potion. Probably used my E to get more to block his Q potential. I don't think it actually blocks the Q, but it would have blocked the damage. And I would have been able to. I just played it poorly because I wasn't really paying attention basically. So that's something which you should be doing. You know, if you've got health potions in your inventory and you're doing these kind of skirmishes, these kind of fights, always pop one at the beginning, because we don't want to pop it to survive something. You want to use it to sustain yourself during the fight, so that you know later on whether you can be making a play or something. So that's the mistakes that I made in that top lane there. So I ended up dying for that, which is a shame. It's the first death on our team. I'm a huge feeder. But I'm taking away this blue buff here. This blue buff is going over to me because I don't need to give it over to my Lee Sin or to anyone else, because Lee Sin doesn't. I mean, Lee Sin's okay with blue. Actually, Lee Sin's fairly good with blue buff because of the energy regen, but I'm gonna take it because I can get pretty good use out of it as well. I see this is a really good time to engage a gank here, and this is something which is actually quite sad, I suppose you could say, with Braum, is that your ulti has a really high cooldown. Like, I used this on the gank top lane against Vayne, which was ages ago. It has a 2-minute cooldown at rank 1, which is massive for an ultimate. Now, it's, you know, fair enough, you know, it's a really good ulti, but it's, considering how much of a huge impact it makes, it changes your ganks and gives you a huge extra offensive like utility. It makes your ganks like 3 times as good. For it to have such a huge cooldown, it really is quite painful. And so I didn't get to use it in that fight, but whatever. Now, as we can see like by the scores of and the stats of this bot lane was pretty much equal on CS as I went into that gank, even though Graves had a kill. So the fact that Varus was able to keep up to Graves in CS despite Graves having a kill advantage means that my bot lane wasn't doing so well. I mean, they're obviously not doing awful by any means, but they weren't dominating or anything like that. So hopefully now with those 2 free kills they can start rolling a little bit, hopefully anyway. But I'm just taking away these golems here. Now I'm gonna, because Aurelia's pushing all the time, this Vayne is having a way with Aurelia, so I'm thinking, well, let's see if I can get some kills on this Vayne. And I wait until Vayne has used her escape, or basically used her, it's not really an escape, but it's kind of like an anti-escape, like she pushes me away rather than her jumping away. So I wait till she uses her escape before I use my ulti, and then I just kill her. Like, Braum's damage is actually fairly high if someone face checks you on pretty low health and you're maxing your Q. So we managed to get that off, and it's all lovely, and that's a nice free kill from the top lane. But again, Lee Sin's playing quite well just by waiting for me to face check him. He knows I'm not strong in a 1v1. He knows I can't stand up for myself. Why is this? Come on, camera, get with it. He knows I can't like look after myself, so if I face check him, he knows I'm going to be in trouble. He knows it's going to work out quite nicely for him. So he's done that twice to me now. The first time he killed me, the second time Lee Sin had to save me. I didn't have to use my flash because I remember I used that flash in the Vayne gank, but you know, he's doing that quite well. I mean, if you're ever against one of these if you're ever against a weaker jungler who can't 1v1 you, then if you just wait for them, if you try to set up traps for them, then you can get yourself into some really good situations. So I'm just taking away my red buff here. Nothing special, it's just respawn, so I'm going to take it down. Just looking at the lanes as well here, I want to just see how the lanes are doing. My bot lane just got a double kill, so they're really starting to snowball off of the gank that I gave them. Mid lane is not doing so bad, although considering I think Orianna will scale much better into the late game than Lee Sin, so I think that actually works a bit more in the enemy team's favour, the fact they have pretty much equal CS and no kills. Excuse me. My CS is down on Lee Sin, but I've had quite a lot of impact this game. In fact, I've had a huge amount of impact this game. And top lane is completely equal, despite the fact that I've got 3 kills on Vayne. So that's still not perfect, but you know, what can you do? But I'm going top lane again because this is always just such a free kill for me. This Vayne is always in such a bad position that I can just get these free kills. So when she uses her ulti and goes invisible and walks into the bush, I put a ward in the bush so we can sit. Well, we both put a ward in the bush, but it's nice that if you're fighting and someone goes into the bush, just ward it so they can't like juke you or anything like that. So we get that off, and then like I left that kill for Aurelia as well, because I know that Aurelia she's a carry type of champion. She scales well into the late game. Braum is not a carry, and he doesn't need kills. Like I said before, he's a support at heart. He doesn't need items to be effective, so he's just I leave the kill for Aurelia basically. I don't need them. So we do that. we kill Vayne, and I push down the wave as well, just to get a little extra down. And then I see if their blue's up, it's not, so I just stick a ward there, which is pretty standard, and you know, just a nice bit of vision. But for some reason Vayne is still, I mean, we didn't use our ult before on the top lane gank, so it's still up. And even though Aurelia has not a lot of mana, it doesn't matter because she's in a bad spot, and we just kill. Yeah, Vayne's in a hideous position. I've got my ulti up. Like I say, ulti really changes things, and we managed to get that kill nicely. Now, blue buff just respawned as we were fighting here, and Lee Sin wants to take it away. I don't have my smite up, but so this is a really good play by Aurelia here. If this is what you should be doing at Dragon as well. If you want to secure an objective, a jungle objective, whether that's buffs or whether that is Dragon, it's more important when it's in Dragon obviously, or Baron. Don't help your team DPS the Dragon down. Stop, like, zone the other jungler. Like what I really did here. What I really did here was smart. She ran over here when Lee Sin was here as well, and just, you know, got in Lee Sin's face. So Lee Sin couldn't get in between Aurelia and the buff. She couldn't get to the buff because Aurelia was in the way. And that means that Lee Sin can't get towards the buff, obviously. And so he can't contest it. We didn't need to smite in the end. So, you know, if Aurelia had stayed on the blue buff and was just like, oh, I'll help you take it really quickly, you run a risk of it getting stolen away by Lee Sin. So what you want to do is you want to zone the enemy jungler. That's always much more important than DPSing the jungle objective down. Now bot lane is snowballing really, really hard here, and they're still not overextending, but really far pushed out, and it's getting even more kills. And you very rarely see a lane snowball this hard, but from just giving them 2 kills. But at the same time, you do expect a lane to win when you give them a double kill, especially a Graves, who's very good at bullying lanes, and a Thresh. Like that is an extremely aggressive lane, and you can expect if you get that Graves a double kill, good things are gonna happen. So I'm just taking away this Dragon here. And you wouldn't expect Braum to be the best at taking away Dragon, and as you can see, he's not amazing. But because I've got a Wriggles, basically Wriggles makes it quite easy to solo the Dragon on a lot of characters. Basically, it's not just, you know, you could be playing a lot of different people, and you could probably solo a Dragon if you have Wriggles. The change that was introduced, it was either maybe a few patches ago, I'm not quite sure, but it was fairly recently, where Dragon no longer reduces your attack speed. It just reduces the amount of your overall damage. So champions like Elise are now worse at it because they never relied on their basic attacks. It was more about their damage and percentage damage. So Elise and Kha'Zix, who relied on their abilities, were better at taking Dragon before, but not anymore. I mean, that is such a sick Matrix dodge. Even though it probably wasn't going to kill me, it looked awesome. I'm going to rewind that and see that again because that looks sick. And now champions who rely on attack speed and basic attacks to clear out Dragon a lot faster, and that includes obviously people with Wriggles. I love that. That's so cool. But anyway, so we're chasing down this Varus here now. He thinks he's going to get executed, or he's trying to get executed. I jump onto Thresh. Lee Sin pings it, is on his way, but I flash Q the Varus, and I pick him up before Lee Sin can get it. And then I get spammed with retreat pings telling me how much of a dickhead I am for stealing the kill. I spin my shield around and I recall, and Bob drunk will burn your mum. That's how it goes down. That's how we play this game. So I'm sorry, Lee Sin, but you're gonna have to work a little bit harder if you want kills in the future. So yeah, now I want to talk a little bit about my item build in this game. I haven't talked about it just yet, but like I said, I've said it twice before, and I'm going to say it again. Lee Sin, Braum is a support at heart. He's not a carry. You don't need items to be effective on him. You want to be a tank, basically. He's a tank. He's not a carry. So the items I built a Glacial Shroud because cooldown reduction is very nice. On all support champions, cooldown reduction is a very nice stat because you don't need your ability to do a lot of damage, but you want them to be up as frequently as possible. So cooldown reduction is very nice. It also helps me by being a bit tankier and giving me some mana so that I don't run out as often. And now I'm going towards a Sunfire Cape. The reason I like to get a Sunfire Cape on people like Jungle Braum is because my clears are so bad by myself that Sunfire, and I have no damage by myself, that Sunfire Cape really helps with that. So right here I'm kind of engaging onto this Orianna, and because I mean look at this, I'm just beating the absolute crap out of her. But this is kind of awkward. We managed to get the kill, and for some reason Lee Sin leaves me alone here. Lee Sin should have finished me off, but he was probably a bit too scared or something. But I mean, if you can chase someone down when you've got a red buff, you just beat the absolute crap out of them basically on Braum, which is really nice. Oh my goodness, I almost died then. Oh my goodness, I block it. I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead yet. Please don't ult me. Okay, he ulted me. I'm dead. Well, that was. I think all of this happened because I think I may have saved my ult for too long when I was killing Orianna. Orianna, I waited till she was under the tower before I ulted, so I ended up taking a few tower hits. We overextended and then we chased Lee Sin as well. So it's kind of awkward, but you know, it's my mistake at the end of the day. And even despite all the help that Aurelia's been getting top lane, Vayne still manages to 1v1 her. And again, I'm not saying this to hate on Aurelia by any means. Vayne is kind of difficult because she can just kite Aurelia. But I'm just saying this to the extent where, like, this is not a free win, basically. This game is not down and out. Vayne is always very strong. And we have to be careful of her, basically. So let's see what kind of things we can pull off here. I get condemned into the wall. I don't really care too much. Let's see if I can kill Vayne. I landed a nice long range Q on her as well, so she's not dead. Another long range Q. Max range ult. Alright, slows her down. Is that enough? Come on, Q. There it is, another Q. So 3 Qs in a row. That should that seals the deal. Seals the deal for Vayne. And Braum's Q is actually quite powerful. It does quite a lot of damage. I think we may be overstaying a little bit here. We're all really low health, and I don't think too much is going to go down. I can keep firing Qs to slow people, or attempt to slow people, but I don't think too much is going to happen. I use my shield to instantly block Varus's ulti, and then I turn around. Actually, I'm gonna rewind this because I think this is. You always have to be aware of incoming projectiles when you're playing Braum. The reason for this is because your E blocks them, so you want to be making sure to save your wall for when you can block projectiles and stuff like that. So we're walking around. Varus is chasing, and just before Varus's ult hits me, I block it with my shield, and then I Q him just to get away, and I sidestep his Qs at the same time. Now, there's really no point me being here right now. Like right now, I'm just kind of providing a bit of moral support. There's not much I can do. I'd love to get involved in the fight, but I'm very low health, so I'm high risk, and I have 0 mana. So all I can do is apply. Was that my Randuin's? Did I just use my Randuin's? I don't have Randuin's. Okay, I already used a Randuin's. So all I can do is attempt to apply my passive, and I can't really do that when I'm on such low health. I'll just, if I get in there and I take, 2 or 3 hits, I'm gonna die. So there's no point. I should have just recalled, and then if I'd recalled, I may have even been able to rejoin the fight at this point. But who knows? I just basically, I'm not of any use, so there's no point me staying. Now this is quite interesting. I stay here and I walk right next to Vayne so that she thinks she can kill me. But unfortunately, when Braum has his shield up, it blocks the first hit and then reduces all damage taken on successive hits by like 30%. At least at rank 1 it is. So that Vayne, he is really deceptively tanky when his shield is up. So I just bait her into, it looks like she was going a bit too ham anyway, but I stand around, I make it so that she thinks she can get to me, and then I just put my shield up, and I don't even get close to dying. I did have the thresh shield as well, but, I don't even get close to dying, and we managed to kill her. Now I'm just going to rewind a little, fast forward a little bit here. My team's getting a little bit, what we need to be careful of right now is just getting too aggressive or caught or something like that. Now this is the fight which we started by us chasing, but this is a really nice, a really good example of using Braum's ultimate here. In these kind of choke points when you're fighting, if you just throw your ult down, it knocks loads of people up, or disrupts loads of people, and puts that like slow on the ground, and so it just makes for a really awkward, you know, the enemy team doesn't want to be fighting in that situation. Whoops, no, I saw that cue. You know, they don't want to be fighting there. They don't want to be around that icy slow ground, because it's actually really hard to win fights when you're moving at like, let's see, what's the slow? 60%. When you're slowed by 60%, it's actually kind of difficult. Like, that fight is really heavily not in your favor. So it's really good in choke points like that, in clutch, not clutch, that's the wrong word, but in situations where it's a small area, small environment, you kind of want to be putting that ult down, and it works really nicely. No one saw that Q either. Now right here I'm not really of too much use, because again I'm really low on health, I don't have too much mana. All I can do is try to, like I'm doing here, block people. I'm also very aware of that Orianna ball, which is why I didn't get anywhere near it, because I knew that it was gonna shockwave was gonna come out of it. And I'm just hovering around and trying to maybe make a pick, or just catch my Q on someone, or do something like that. But I can't do too much, because I'm, you know, I've got no mana. Basically, I'm a champion that relies on my abilities. When I don't have mana, I can't do anything. Now, I do have my passive as well, which is not so bad. So if I was on full health, I could be running up to people. But that's kind of an unreliable way of playing, because, you know, they'll just run away from you. There's nothing you can do about that if you're out of mana. But if you can get your passive off onto people, then you obviously don't need the mana. And so I just, you know, I shouldn't be doing too much, but I'm at least trying to throw out some Qs and be useful. Now, I recalled here even though my team wanted to fight, because, again, like I've been saying for a while now, there's no point me staying. I'm useless, so I may as well recall, buy some items, and then go back in, you know, go back into the fight when I've got some health, basically some health and some mana. As you see, the items that I bought is I bought a Frozen Heart. That's because against, they've got a double AD carry team, and especially Vayne, who's very auto attack reliant, the attack speed slow from Frozen Heart is very nice. Also, it's good for me as good for Braum as a champion, because it gives me cooldown reduction, which is great. Mana, which, because I've always been running out of mana, so you know, it's just a very nice item overall, especially if you're against a double ADC comp or a lot of physical damage. I also changed my Moby Boots into Merc Treads. I think Moby Boots are not so good later on into the game. They're very good early on in the game when you're running around making plays, being aggressive, and you want that high move speed. But later on when you're fighting, they're really not very good, because whenever you've been tagged in combat, their move speed goes down to the same as Boots 1, like the 300 gold boots, which is really, you know, you don't want that. And when you are fighting, basically, it doesn't help you win fights. Basically, Moby Boots don't help you win fights. They help you engage them, but they don't help you win them. And so instead, I've opted for Merc Treads, so that I am not so caught in CC, and also it's a little bit of MR. It's not a lot of MR, obviously, but it's a little bit, which every little helps. It's not so bad. I've also decided to buy a mana potion, because I've been so out of mana this game, it's ridiculous. So I had an inventory slot. I bought some wards, because, you know, wards are cool, but I just thought, you know what, I need a mana potion, so I bought a mana potion. Now, unfortunately, I missed my Q on that Lee Sin who jumped over the wall there. Probably could have killed them, but the Greys popped my passive as he ward jumped over the wall. So I used my Q predicting that he was going to run, but he didn't run, because once he landed he was stunned, so that was my mistake. Probably could have got a kill there, but whatever, at least I didn't waste my ult, so now we can use it if we go for a tower dive, which is what we may be going for soon. Using my sweeper to de-ward here, putting a ward over the wall so we can see how they're defending, and then we should be able to take these. I think I just wasted my ult there, actually. Yeah, that was a bad ult. And then we're just kind of diving this up. You see, I'm using my shield here, and I'm standing in front of my team. I'm going to rewind this just to show a little bit of how to play Braum. So the Lee Sin jumps in because he's got a really nice pick on. It's not a pick, but he's got a nice Q onto the Varus. So you know, or is it Vayne? He might have actually had Vayne. Vayne may be in our ulti right now. I don't know. Who is it? No, it's Varus. So he's got a nice hit onto Varus, so he goes in on that. Now I try to follow up and use my ulti here, which is a waste. Like, there's no one nearby, so I waste my ulti. So obviously that's not how you play Braum, but right here they try to do another counter engage, and so I'm group topping my team and I'm using my shield to protect everyone. I mean, this basically, if you do nothing else, well, I think the two most important things you can do as Braum is to get a good ult off, which I didn't do, but we didn't need it because we were so far ahead, and to just have your shield and stick it in front of everyone. That will significantly reduce the damage that your allies take. I mean, it's basically like a better Maokai ult, in my opinion, this Braum shield, which is pretty ridiculous if you're positioning correctly anyway, because you can move around, whereas Maokai ult is a static thing. Well, I suppose it does do damage, but whatever. So that's kind of, you know, that wasn't an amazing team fight by me, because I kind of really messed up the Braum ult. But outside of that, that's all you really need to be doing when you're team fighting on Braum. There's not much to it, and because he plays like a support, so you just need to have a decent position and use your defensive abilities to protect people. So yeah, there's my Braum commentary, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Braum jungle is actually quite fun to play, even though I don't think he's very good. I like playing him. I like playing Braum overall, and I would recommend him, to be honest. I think he's cool, and yeah, if you can get over his really slow clears and not so amazing ganks, then you can have a fair amount of success for him if things line up for you like they did in this game for me. But if you enjoyed this commentary, guys, feel free to give it a thumbs up. You can leave a comment and ask me about Braum. I'll try to answer some questions. You can subscribe to me if you want to see more educational league content with a bit of entertaining stuff on the side as well. You can find me on Facebook, on Twitter, and catch me streaming on Twitch too. All those things are in the description, guys. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.